Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Will Cinematics video. Today I will be reviewing one of my faves, Cinderella. The movie starts off with a narration and a young Cinderella. Then we cut to an older Cinderella asleep, and she's played by Eileen Woods. All these woodland creatures wake her up to a beautiful sunrise as she sings "A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes." Then we see Cinderella go through her grueling morning routine. Before that begins, Cinderella finds a mouse in a trap. She gives him a cute little outfit and names him Gus Gus. Gus Gus is so cute. Then Cinderella continues with her morning routine. We see a whole fun, cartoony fight between Lucifer the cat and all the mice. Then we see Cinderella serve her stepmother and stepsisters breakfast. Here we see only a fraction of how cruel they are to her. I have to say one of the reasons I love Cinderella is her personality. She's genuinely a nice person and actually faces adversity unlike some of her other princesses. She's in a bad situation and she gets herself out of it. Basically, Lady Tremaine, voiced by Eleanor Audley, piles Cinderella with chores. I have to say Lady Tremaine is terrifying. She doesn't have any magic and she's only Cinderella's stepmother, but she feels like super evil and super scary. Unless you count Cinderella 3. We don't talk about that. Anyways, we cut to the king in the castle talking about his son, the prince. He plans to arrange a ball to set him up with a woman. Then we cut back to the house and we see a very funny scene with the stepsisters horribly singing "Sing Sweet Nightingale," which transitions into a beautifully sung version by Cinderella. She gets interrupted by a guard with news of the ball for the prince. Cinderella, of course, asks to go and plans to fashion a dress for herself. She gets interrupted with more chores and must leave her dress behind. The mice see her upset and decide to craft a dress for her. They sing a very cute song called "The Work Song" while they fix a dress for her. Then they finish it and surprise her with it. She comes down in the dress last minute and tries to join Lady Tremaine and her stepsisters. The mice use some old fabric that the stepsisters had thrown out because they're horrible people and super privileged and don't really care about it. And they rip up her dress in anger. Lady Tremaine tells them to destroy Cinderella's dress because she's oh, isn't that your necklace and isn't that your sash that she's wearing? Cinderella runs off crying while they leave for the ball. Then the fairy godmother magically appeared and she says that she will help Cinderella get to the ball. She sings a song titled "Bippity Boppity Boo" and magics her a dress, carriage, and glass slipper. This is one of the most beautiful Disney scenes of all time. She sends Cinderella off to the ball and says that she only has till midnight or everything will turn back. We cut to the ball and we see the prince greeting all the eligible maidens and he is not happy about it. I have to say this prince has a good amount of character. He's not too bland. Cinderella shows up quite late and blows everyone away. The prince approaches her and they dance. I'd also like to interrupt and say that the king is so funny. He's really bumbly character, and I have to say that he has a lot of personality for a king character. He almost reminds me of Prince Philip's father in Sleeping Beauty. Very bumbly and very funny, and yeah, I just really enjoy him as a character. Back to Cinderella. They sing a song titled "So This Is Love." Even though they sing together once, I still feel they have a much better connection than the prince and Snow White. I have to say their song seems more sincere and they're around the same age. Also, Cinderella's 19, which is really a much nicer change from our previous 14. A lot of the classics have a lot of very bland characters, but this one I have to say is pretty, every character has at least a little bit of personality. So I have to say the prince is pretty interesting in this one. So then the clock tower interrupts them and Cinderella sprints to her carriage. And then we get the whole glass slipper thing. She leaves it behind. Cinderella running from the tower is one of the coolest scenes. We see the carriage is going really fast. I know, I really enjoyed that. Score progresses. There's a clock tower going off every single beat. And basically she jumps out of the pumpkin before it shrinks. And the only thing that lasted the spell were the glass slippers. Then in probably the worst part of the movie, the king dreams about having grandchildren, and it's just really weird and kind of creepy. And then he finds out that Cinderella is nowhere to be found, so they send someone with the glass slipper to every house, as the story goes. And Lady Tremaine, being the scary villain she is, locks Cinderella up in the tower because she figures out that it's her. And as the story goes, Cinderella gets out, and when she does, Lady Tremaine breaks the shoe. Cinderella brings the other shoe with her, pulls it out, and it's proof that she is the maiden that the prince danced with that night. Now that the prince knows who she is, they get married and they live happily ever after. And that's how the movie ends. This whole shoe trying thing doesn't really make sense. Did the prince forget her face already? Because he could have just asked all the maidens to come back to the castle and he could have just been oh, it's not this person because she doesn't look like her. Because he knows her voice, her face, her height, and her hair color. So the shoe thing is just so much extra work. But anyways, that's my review. After watching, I really know why this was Walt's favorite. Here's my rating. I give this movie a 9 out of 10 for main character because Cinderella's just such a great main character. She's a normal age, she's a very beautiful princess, and she's a very nice person at heart. And For supporting characters, I give it 10 out of 10 because Gus Gus and Jack and all the little mice are just so adorable, and all the little like animals are also adorable. And for love interest, I give 6 out of 10. He has way more of a personality than the prince in the last movie, but he is still pretty plain. But like he has like at least he has some sort of character. And for songs, I give 6 out of 10 because there are a lot of songs I like, but there are 2 songs I don't like as much. And for ending, I give 5 out of 10 because the ending is just a little boring and seen before the whole like getting married happily ever after sort of thing. And for villain, I give 9 out of 10 because Lady Tremaine manages to be scary without actually having any sort of like scary abilities, but she's still a very scary person. And for animation, I give 8 out of 10 because I just love some of the scenes in this movie. Like, they're just so pretty. There's a lot of really cool effects with, like, night sky and, like, her, like, standing out against it because she's so, like, bright. And then for score, I give 9 out of 10 just because of that one scene with the clock tower is, like, my favorite. Because the clock tower is going off and you hear the score and the music and it's very riveting and very like intense, and it really gets you like involved in the movie. And as I always say, this movie is really good. Like, honestly, Cinderella is great, so please watch it if you haven't yet. It's a very timeless story, and I want to thank you guys for watching, and make sure to leave a like, subscribe.